interrupt me, honey.
Kevin Spacey Fowler, from playing a sad suburban dad in a middle-life crisis in American Beauty, to a ruthless politician in House of Cards.
In the end, I don't care whether you love me or you hate me, just as long as I win.
He did it all. He has been a police negotiator in The Negotiator, Olympic conman in The Usual Suspects, to a serial killer in Seven.
After this, I'm gone.
Detective! No big surprise. You're looking for me.
The man has this almost supernatural ability to disappear into whoever he was supposed to be and come out to the other side holding an Oscar. He won 2 of them, by the way, 2 Oscars. So today we're breaking down Kevin Spacey's acting career and showing why he became the actor he is. Kevin Spacey was born here in South Orange, New Jersey, in 1959. His family moved a lot, so he learned early to adapt and be whoever the room needed. He went to Chatsworth High School in Los Angeles and became obsessed with acting, studying old films, doing impressions, and learning what made great actors work. He got into Juilliard, a music school in New York, but left early to start acting professionally. He did theater in the early 80s, from off-Broadway to Broadway, mastering live performance where there are no second takes. He thrived doing Shakespeare and Neil Simon, learning from experienced directors. By the time he moved to film and TV, he was fully trained actor. His screen debut was small, a bit in Heartburn and 1 episode of The Equalizer, but he kept building until people started noticing. His first really good role came in 1992 with Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh, yes, please. The police can be...
What are the police doing?
We had a slight burglary last
No,
night.
it's nothing. I was just assuring Mr. Link.
Mr. Link? James Link? Your contract went out. Nothing to
John,
worry about.
John.
Your contract went out to the bank.
A film adaptation of David Mamet's brutal Pulitzer Prize-winning play about desperate real estate salesman, and the cast was incredible. Al Pacino, Jack Lemmon, Ed Harris, Alec Baldwin, Alan Arkin, and of course Kevin Spacey. Spacey played John Williamson, the office manager who controls the sales leads and basically makes everyone's life miserable. It's not the flashiest role in that movie, but it has this cold bureaucratic energy that makes you genuinely dislike him on sight, which is exactly what the character needs.
You get out of here? Will you get out of here? Will you? I'm trying to run an office here. Now, will you go to lunch?
What's interesting is that he later said he studied how some middle managers really act. People with a little bit of power who use it against others, because it's the only power they think they will ever have. You can see this exact detail in the character. Williamson doesn't feel like a typical movie villain. He feels like someone you've actually met in real life. Then came Swimming with Sharks in 1994.
Listen, baby, he can't fuck his way through the ranks nearly as well as you can. He's got to kick and fight and scratch his way there. He doesn't have a choice. You have nothing to contribute to this, so stay the fuck out!
He plays Buddy Ackles, a ruthless Hollywood producer who psychologically tortures his assistant. It's essentially a one-man showcase. The film didn't have a huge budget, it wasn't a major studio release, but Spacey's performance was so committed that it became one of those movies that gets passed around in film circles. The thing he does in that film, the thing that makes it uncomfortable to watch, is that Buddy never feels like a cartoon. He has this almost reasonable logic for why he treats people the way he does. There are moments where you almost understand him, and that's what makes him terrifying. Spacey said he talked to multiple real Hollywood executives while preparing, studied how they moved, how they spoke, and how they used silence as a weapon. Okay, 1995, Bryan Singer directs the crime thriller The Usual Suspects.
All right, you all know the drill. When your number is called, step forward and repeat the phrase you've been given. Understand?
It's about 5 criminals who meet during a police lineup and get put into something much bigger. The cast includes Gabriel Byrne, Benicio del Toro, Kevin Pollak, Stephen Baldwin, and Kevin Spacey, who plays a small-time con artist with a clubfoot named Roger Verbokind. The movie has one of the most famous endings in cinema history. Verbokind comes across as the least dangerous person in the room. He's quiet, he walks with a limp, and he seems almost harmless. As he tells the story about a mysterious crime boss named Kaiser Sauce, he acts like a nervous witness trying to help the police.
Fucking cops.
Kevin Spacey plays each scene with careful control, just open enough to seem honest, just careful enough to avoid saying too much, and just little strange in a way you can't fully explain. Spacey worked with a physical therapist to create a clear, consistent way of walking with a club foot. It wasn't just a random limp, it was based on a real medical condition. He wanted it to look real, so that anyone who knew what that condition looks like would recognize it right away. That level of detail shows how serious he was about getting it right. He made a smart choice to play most of the film at low energy. When everyone else is intense, Verbo is quiet and almost apologetic. When others are demanding answers, he shrinks and keeps to himself. That makes the audience feel something is off, even if they can't tell exactly what. He won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. The final shot of the film is one of the best acting moments of the 90s. He barely says a word, it's all in his face and the way he walks.
She begged for her life, Detective.
Shut up!
She begged for her life.
Shut up.
And for the life of the baby inside of her.
Spacey appeared in David Fincher's Seven. Now, here is the thing about Seven. Spacey's character, John Doe, doesn't appear for most of the movie. He's a shadow, a presence, a concept. Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman spent the whole film looking for this guy. And the movie builds this enormous anticipation around who he could possibly be. And then he just walks into a police station and turns himself in, calmly. Spacey fought for his name to not appear in the opening credits. He wanted the audience to have no idea he was in the film until that moment, and the studio agreed, which meant everyone watching had no preconceptions about what John Doe would be. And when Spacey appears, completely composed, almost cheerful, talking to detectives about the murders, he says it in a calm way, like he's just explaining a normal way to live. That's what makes it so disturbing. He doesn't need big dramatic villain moves to make it scary. He prepared for that role by studying certain historical figures who operated with total conviction in their own wrapped moral framework. People who genuinely believe they were right. That's the key to John Doe. He's not a monster who knows he's a monster. He's a man who has decided the world is wrong and he's the correction. Most actors would play that with intensity. Spacey played it with serenity, and that's so much scarier. The famous film American Beauty. Spacey takes on Lester Burnham, a middle-aged man having a middle-life crisis of almost cosmic proportions, depressed and invisible in his own house, sleepwalking through his life. This is a completely different register from everything we've talked about. Verbo Kint, John Doe, Buddy Ackles, those are characters who control the room through menace or manipulation. Lester Burnham is a man who has zero control over anything, and the film is about him trying to claw some of it back.
Lester, just stop it!
No. You don't get to tell me what to do. Ever again.
Spacey had to play defeated, genuinely, convincingly defeated. And then he had to follow Lester on a strange journey, becoming looser, funnier, more reckless, almost like a teenager, while the world around him quietly falls apart. What he did for this role is fascinating. He spent time studying what he called suburban invisibility, talking to men in that life stage who felt overlooked by their families, their careers, their own reflections. He was looking for the specific kind of exhaustion that comes not from dramatic tragedy, but from accumulated mundane disappointment. And he found it. The physical work he did is worth noticing too. Early in the film, Lester's posture is almost deliberately bad, slightly hunched, slightly collapsed. As the character's transformation progresses, Spacey literally changes how he holds his body. By the end of the film, he's standing differently. It's subtle enough that you might not consciously notice it, but your subconscious does. And that's exactly the point.
I'm 42 years old. In less than a year, I'll be dead.
The opening voiceover of that film, Lester narrating his own death before it happens, is one of the most perfectly calibrated pieces of acting in 90s cinema. Spacey manages to make a dead man sound tired in the most human, recognizable way. He won Best Actor at the Academy Awards. Kevin also appeared in LA Confidential as Jack Vincennes, a cop more interested in his celebrity lifestyle than actual police work. The movie is amazing. Spacey is doing something very specific with Vincennes that's easy to miss. He's charming on the surface but hollow underneath, and Spacey plays that hollowness with this slight, almost imperceptible emptiness in his eyes. There is a moment in that film where Jack suddenly remembers why he became a cop in the first place, and Spacey delivers it with almost no dialogue, just a shift in expression, and it might be the most emotionally devastating moment in the entire movie. He studied the culture of Hollywood celebrities in the 50s for that role, the way fame functioned differently then, how certain public figures performed their public image as a survival mechanism. It adds layers that the script alone doesn't demand. Another movie is The Negotiator, where he stars alongside Samuel L. Jackson. He plays a hostage negotiator brought in to handle another negotiator who is taking hostages. A great setup. It's more of a mainstream thriller than his usual films, but he's fully focused, calm, sharp and controlled. For most of the movie you're not even sure whose side he's really on. And in 2013, Netflix releases the famous TV show House of Cards, its first major original series, and Kevin Spacey plays Francis Frank Underwood, a ruthless Democratic congressman who would do literally anything to accumulate political power. This show was based on a British series, and the original version of the character was already well known, but Spacey doesn't copy him. He creates his own version, a sounder Democrat with a smooth, friendly charm that hides something darker underneath. One of the most interesting choices in the show is that his character talks directly to the audience. He breaks the fourth wall all the time. He tells his plans, explains what he's thinking, and even mocks the other characters. It's a style inspired by Shakespeare, and it makes the audience feel like they are part of his secret. There is always a sense that his characters know something you don't. The fourth wall breaks just externalize that quality and make it literal. Of course, Frank talks to the audience. He's the only one who would even think to. Spacey did deep research for this role. He met with real politicians, staffers, and lobbyists. He learned how favors are traded and how threats really work. That's why the show feels real. The power moves don't feel fake or dramatic. They feel possible, and that comes from him understanding how the system works. He also created a very specific way for Frank to move and act, the way he walks into a room, the way he controls space. Frank always knows where the exits are. He never fully turns his back to a door. You may not notice these details, but they quietly tell you who he is. The show ran for 6 seasons and won him a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Drama Series. So let's zoom out for a second, because across all these roles, widely different characters, there are consistent things Spacey does that other actors don't. The first thing is control. Spacey almost never overdoes it. Where a weaker actor might use 3 big signals to show an emotion, Spacey uses one small choice and trusts the audience to get it. That control gives the viewer space to think and feel for themselves, and that's what makes a performance stay with you. The second thing is intelligence. His characters are almost always the smartest person in the room, but he doesn't show that by making others look stupid. He shows it by always thinking. You can see it in his eyes. It feels like Frank Underwood, Verbal Kint, or John Doe are always 10 steps ahead, even when they say very little. The third thing is preparation. We've seen it again and again. Working with a physical therapist for the club food, researching real politics for House of Cards, studying certain personality types for Swimming with Sharks and Seven. He treats every role like serious work. He builds the character carefully, then once everything is set, he performs it naturally and with confidence. That's actually very hard to do. Most actors either prepare a lot and end up stiff, or they act freely and feel unprepared. Spacey managed to do both, fully prepared but still natural on screen. In late 2017, several people accused Kevin Spacey of sexual misconduct. More accusations followed. His career stopped almost overnight. House of Cards finished its final season without him. In All the Money in the World, he was removed from the film. All his scenes were deleted and reshot with Christopher Plummer in just 9 days, which is unbelievable. After 3 decades at the top, he was pushed out of the industry. He faced criminal charges, but they were later dismissed. Civil lawsuits followed. His public life became a series of court cases and public statements, a very different kind of spotlight. But I'm not here to tell you how to feel about it. People have strong and very different opinions. This isn't a video for his trial, it's a video about his acting skills. What I will say is this: the films still exist, the performances are still there, the usual suspects and American Beauty aren't going anywhere. The work that went into them is real, and it's part of film history, no matter what else is true about him. That's the difficult truth about great art. It doesn't always come from someone you can fully admire. Art often outlives an artist's reputation. Sometimes, it even outlives the person behind it.